Many of the materials that you'll be creating for your scenes will have some level of transparency. A kitchen window looking out to the backyard, a drinking glass on the counter, maybe even an ice cube in that glass. They all would require that you be able to see through at least a portion of the object or surface. 3ds Max controls the transparent nature of a 3D object using a setting called opacity. Here's how it works. I've gone ahead and created a shiny dark purple material to get us started. To get a closer look, let's double-click on its sample slot to open a larger viewing window. The term most often used for the opposite of transparent is opaque, hence the control name opacity. You'll find the setting directly to the right of the 3 color swatches. With an opacity value of 100, an object will be completely opaque, or solid in other words. Anything lower than that 100 value will add a degree of transparency to the surface. Let's take our opacity value down to 70. Now the material is 30% transparent. Let's drop the opacity to 55. Now it's a little difficult to see the actual level of transparency against a dark gray background. We see the purple color in the viewing window getting darker, but it's a little tough to see just how see-through the object is. We can change that by adjusting the color of our viewing window's background. Back in the Material Editor, we'll click on the 3rd icon down on the right-hand side. It's called Background. This now places a multi-checkered background behind our material. With those brighter colors, we get a much better idea of the actual transparency. Now, if an object is transparent, you'll be able to see through the front of the surface to the back. In order to properly recreate that effect, we'll need to activate the 2-sided option that you'll find above the color swatches and to the right. Let's go ahead and turn that on. Now both sides of our surface are being worked into the mix. Max also gives you the option of controlling just what areas on a surface are more transparent than other areas. Something that you commonly see when looking, for example, at a glass bottle or vase. The settings are found in the Extended Parameters section directly below the Specular Controls. In the Advanced Transparency category on the left, you'll want to adjust the transparency falloff. Using the outward transparency would make the outside of the surface more transparent than the inside areas. Let's change the setting to Out and we'll set the amount at 85. This effect might be used for creating something like a cloud, or anything else that might look best with a softer, diffused edge. With the In Falloff transparency, you're adjusting things so that the inside of the surface appears more transparent than the outside of the surface. That's the direction you'd want to go for the bottle object, or maybe something like a soap bubble. Let's change the falloff setting from Out to In. As you can see, the purple surface now looks more transparent toward the inside than it does the outside. Let's change the inward amount to 65. Now, make sure you understand how to read the numbers. With an opacity level of 55, the entire object is 45% transparent. With the inward falloff set at 65, the inside of the surface is 65% more transparent than the outside. To the right of the falloff controls, you can also change either the color of the transparency, that being done with the filter swatch. Let's open up that swatch, changing it to a dark blue. Now look at the effect that's had on that transparent material. Let's change that swatch to a little bit more of a purple color. Again, a dramatic effect as to the overall color of the transparency. In the Color Selector dialog, over on the left, we'll click on Reset. Just below the Filter Color swatch, you can also adjust just how light or dark things get. That'd be done with the subtractive and additive controls. Subtractive will darken the level of transparency, while additive will lighten it up. I'm going to go ahead and take the option back to Filter. I'll then right-click on the falloff amount spinner, taking it back to 0, and a little further up to the top, returning my opacity to 100%. So that ought to give you a little more control in adjusting an object's level of transparency. You've got the opacity setting for the overall level of how transparent something will be, and the falloff controls, which can be used to determine what specific areas on a surface are more transparent than others. The options are there for the taking, be sure to use them.